In the vast tapestry of Maya civilization, a culture that gave us advanced astronomy, sophisticated mathematics, and one of history's most precise calendars, there exists a concept both profound and controversial. This is Hunab Ku, whose name translates from Yucatec Maya as the One God, or the Soul God. More poetically, he is known as the one giver of movement and measure, the supreme architect who, according to certain traditions, brought order and existence to the cosmos itself. But before we journey into the heart of this creation story, we must establish an important foundation. The tale of Hunab Ku is not simply ancient mythology preserved unchanged through millennia. Rather, it's a complex narrative that sits at the intersection of pre-Columbian Maya beliefs and colonial-era influences. Understanding this context doesn't diminish the story's significance. Instead, it reveals how cultures preserve and adapt their spiritual heritage through periods of dramatic change. Today we'll explore who Hunab Ku was believed to be, the legends surrounding this creator deity, and the fascinating scholarly debates about the origins of this concept. Hunab Ku stands apart from other Maya deities in a fundamental way. He was described as invisible, formless, and omnipresent. Unlike the gods depicted in Maya codices and carved into temple walls, deities with specific physical forms, elaborate costumes, and recognizable iconography, Hunab Ku transcended visual representation. He was not a being who could be captured in stone or painted on bark paper. Instead, he was understood as an abstract, all-pervading force whose essence infused every part of the cosmos. This formlessness was not a limitation, but rather the very nature of supreme divinity. Hunab Ku manifested through everything, through nature, through the universe, through the vital energy flowing through all existence. He was envisioned as the supreme god of the heavens, the earth, and the underworld, the architect of time and space itself, the source of both life and death. His power was considered boundless, his wisdom immeasurable. The Maya revered him as the ultimate origin of all that exists. As the god of measurement and movement, he was the cosmic architect who brought order to the universe. Think of him as the consciousness that first conceived of structure in the void, the intelligence that transformed chaos into cosmos, the will that set everything into motion according to divine mathematics and sacred geometry. According to the traditions that emphasize Hunab Ku's supremacy, he was credited with creating not only the physical universe, but also the other deities themselves. These gods were understood not as separate beings competing for power, but as extensions of Hunab Ku's essence, each embodying a distinct aspect of his divine nature, each serving a specific function in maintaining cosmic order. To truly understand Hunab Ku, we must grasp a fundamental Maya philosophical concept that distinguishes their worldview from many other mythological traditions. The Maya developed a sophisticated understanding of existence that recognized everything possesses a soul. This wasn't a vague spiritual notion. It was a structured philosophy with precise definitions. In Maya thought, the soul had material form precisely because everything has form. The soul was the vessel, the container, the structure. But the soul was not to be confused with spirit. Spirit was understood as energy, specifically solar energy. Spirit was the dynamic, intelligent force that animates the soul, giving it life and consciousness. This spiritual energy was primarily associated with Hunab Ku, whom the Maya regarded as the absolute being. Through sophisticated deduction and synthesis, pre-conquest Maya thinkers arrived at what some scholars describe as a monotheistic conclusion grounded in mathematical principles. They conceptualized the absolute being in terms of measurement, the structure of the soul, and movement, the energy of the spirit. This represents a fascinating divergence from other mythological traditions. Rather than personifying their supreme god with human-like emotions, desires, and personality traits, the Maya understood Hunab Ku as a representation of both form and energy, soul and spirit, more akin to a fundamental force of nature than to an anthropomorphic deity. The sun held special significance in this cosmology. Recognized as one of Hunab Ku's most powerful manifestations, the sun was understood as the governing force of all life forms. The Maya called solar energy Kinon, the solar factor. Within their scientific understanding, they acknowledged that the sun, what they termed the astral king, was the force that sustained existence itself. This wasn't primitive sun worship. It was a sophisticated recognition of the sun's actual role in maintaining life on Earth, integrated into their spiritual cosmology. Now we come to the great creation narrative associated with Hunab Ku. Multiple versions of this myth exist across different Maya communities and time periods, each offering unique interpretations. What follows is a synthesis of these traditions, woven together to present the fullest picture of how Hunab Ku was believed to have shaped existence. In the beginning, there was only vast emptiness, the primordial waters of space, boundless darkness without form or manifestation. Yet within this void dwelt Hunab Ku, the Divine One, the first cause, the essence of all that was, is, and will be. For 13 eternities, a sacred number in Maya cosmology representing the 13 levels of the upper world, he remained in a dreamless sleep, uncontained, boundless, and absolute. Upon awakening, Hunab Ku initiated the great work of creation. He emanated the first divine being, known as Hurakan, who is the god of the sky and storms. Following this, 6 other deities emerged, each representing different dimensions and aspects of Hunab Ku's nature. These 7 deities were not separate from him, but rather extensions of his essence, much like 7 rays of light emanating from a single source. Through these extensions of himself, Hunab Ku shaped the cosmos into its fundamental structure, 13 levels in the upper world and 9 levels in the underworld. The Maya conceived of the universe as vertically layered, with the earthly realm existing at the crucial intersection point. Their divine essence and miraculous power infused the earth with creative energy, establishing the framework upon which all existence would unfold. To separate the sky from the land and create space for life to flourish, Hunab Ku planted the great world tree, the Ceiba tree, sacred throughout Mesoamerica. This was no ordinary tree but a cosmic axis connecting all realms of existence. Its roots plunged deep into the 9 levels of the Maya underworld, its trunk stood firmly upon the earth, and its branches stretched high into the 13 levels of the Maya upper world. This tree became the central pillar of creation, the pathway between realms, the axis around which the universe revolved. With the cosmic architecture established, Hunab Ku turned to filling creation with life. Plants were created to cover the land, their diversity reflecting the abundance of divine creativity. Animals followed, roaming the earth in countless forms. Yet these animals, though living beings, could not speak. They could not comprehend the sacred calendars, could not perform rituals, could not worship or maintain the delicate balance between humanity and the divine. Seeing this limitation, Hunab Ku sought to create human beings, creatures capable of consciousness, gratitude, and sacred purpose. But creation, even for the supreme deity, proved to be a process of trial and refinement. His first attempt shaped humans from mud. These beings were fragile and soulless, poor keepers of time despite possessing keen intellect. They had intelligence but lacked the spiritual understanding necessary to comprehend their purpose in the cosmic order. Because these humans failed to understand why they existed, because they could not maintain the sacred relationships that sustain the universe, they were ultimately destroyed in a great flood that swept across the earth. Undeterred, Hunab Ku tried again, this time forming humans from wood. These wooden beings were stronger than their mud predecessors, more durable and resilient. But they lacked something crucial. They had no reverence, no compassion, no connection to the sacred. They were dark in spirit and malevolent in action, existing without gratitude or purpose, so they too were wiped out. Those who survived this second destruction are said to have been transformed into monkeys that still dwell in the trees, a reminder of this failed attempt at human creation. Though the sky and earth now existed, though the cosmic tree connected all realms, the world still lacked an intelligent being capable of tending to creation with wisdom and devotion. In this absence, chaos began to emerge. Animals claimed superiority. Disorder threatened the carefully structured cosmos. At this time, there was no true sun or moon to bring order through their celestial cycles. A vain bird named Seven Macaw falsely declared himself to be both the sun and the moon, bringing false light and disrupting the natural order. This impostor was eventually defeated by the hero twins. Following the defeat of Seven Macaw, the true sun and moon took their rightful places in the sky. The hero twins themselves ascended to become these celestial bodies, bringing genuine light and authentic balance to the world. With the arrival of day and night, the seasons took shape. The world flourished with astonishing diversity of life, from the smallest insects to the mightiest jungle predators. At last, the stage was set for Hunab Ku to complete his creation with a final, perfected humanity. This time, he formed true and enduring human beings from white and yellow corn, maize, the sacred substance of life that would become the foundation of Maya civilization. Through this sacred grain, the final order of the world was established. These corn people were different from their predecessors. They possessed both intelligence and spiritual awareness. They understood the sacred calendars and the cycles of time. They recognized their place in the cosmic order and their responsibility to maintain balance through ritual and reverence. Hunab Ku also granted these humans free will, the ability to choose their own path, to make decisions, to shape their own destiny within the framework of cosmic order. The core concept underlying Hunab Ku is that he represents the absolute source of creation, the first cause and the origin of all existence. Everything that came after him, whether the cosmos, the earth, humanity, or even other deities, is simply an extension of his divine essence. The Maya believed that the universe is not separate from its creator, but rather a manifestation of the same intelligent energy that fills all existence. The ancient Maya believed that this divine being resided at the center of the Milky Way, a place they perceived as the cosmic womb from which all existence emerged. When you look up at the night sky and see that river of stars stretching across the darkness, the Maya saw the birthplace of creation itself. For them, creation was intimately linked to the Milky Way, which they perceived as the celestial blueprint of all things. Central to this cosmological understanding was the concept of zero, a mathematical innovation the Maya developed independently. But zero was far more than just a numerical placeholder. It was a sacred symbol representing the essence of the beginning, the seed of creation. In Maya thought, zero was not merely a mathematical value, but a profound philosophical principle, signifying potential, emptiness filled with infinite possibilities. To truly understand Hunab Ku, the only giver of movement and measure, one must recognize the sacred significance of zero and venerate its cosmic origin in the Milky Way, where the patterns of the most ancient things were believed to be imprinted. This connection between advanced mathematics and spiritual cosmology represents one of the most sophisticated aspects of Maya civilization. Despite the deep philosophical beauty of these traditions, we must address a crucial historical question. Where does Hunab Ku actually come from? This is where our story becomes more complex, and where honesty about historical evidence is essential. The name Hunab Ku, meaning the one God, is believed to have emerged during the early colonial period. Our earliest documentary evidence comes from the 16th century, after Spanish conquistadors and missionaries arrived in the Maya lands. There are no verified pre-Hispanic records of Hunab Ku in the surviving Maya codices or in the extensive hieroglyphic inscriptions that cover Maya temples and monuments. This absence of ancient archaeological evidence has led many scholars to speculate that Hunab Ku may have been introduced or significantly emphasized by Franciscan missionaries as a means of transitioning the Maya from their traditional polytheistic practices toward Christian monotheism. The concept may have served as a theological bridge, allowing missionaries to claim that the Maya already had an incipient understanding of a single, supreme God. However, this doesn't necessarily mean Hunab Ku was entirely invented from nothing. Some scholars suggest the Maya may have possessed an abstract philosophical concept of a supreme creative principle that wasn't prominently featured in public religious practice or artistic representation. The colonial encounter may have elevated and transformed this concept rather than creating it wholesale. The scholarly consensus, represented by respected Maya epigraphers, suggests that while some underlying concept may have existed, the emphasis on Hunab Ku as a supreme monotheistic deity appears to reflect post-conquest theological developments. Whether Hunab Ku emerged from ancient Maya philosophy or from the cultural synthesis of the colonial period, This concept has become deeply meaningful within modern Maya spirituality and has captured the imagination of people worldwide. The traditions surrounding Hunab Ku, whether ancient, colonial, or contemporary, speak to universal human questions about origins, purpose, and the nature of existence itself. The concept represents profound ideas that the universe operates according to mathematical principles, that movement and measurement are fundamental aspects of reality, that consciousness and energy pervade all existence, that creation is an ongoing process rather than a single past event. For modern Maya communities, Hunab Ku remains a significant figure in cosmological understanding, whether viewed as an ancient deity or as a meaningful philosophical construct that emerged during a pivotal historical period. The concept continues to represent fundamental principles of movement, measure, and the eternal balance between form and energy, the very essence of the universe itself. The story of Hunab Ku ultimately teaches us that cultures preserve their deepest insights about existence even through periods of tremendous upheaval. It shows us that spiritual concepts evolve, transform, and find new expressions across generations. And it reminds us that the quest to understand creation, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos is a journey that connects ancient Maya stargazers to anyone today who looks up at the Milky Way and wonders about the source of all that is. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and please share it with someone you think might enjoy it. I'll bring you another story soon. Until then, keep looking up at the stars and contemplating the great mysteries of existence.